All right, so take two. As you can see, these are all so dry and crusty. The first thing I did was take out all of the dead plant material. We are starting in square one. We are still hopeful for what's going to happen. So basically, what I had to do is re soak all of this clay material that I was working with. And again, I did it for 48 hours. Um, just filled them up. I figured to just keep the water in the mason jars. It's probably already easy enough to do it that way than make those little bags again. So just let those sit for 24 hours or 48 hours, mind you. And then back to the drawing board. So this is what I did differently this time, and I was super hopeful that this was gonna work. So basically, what I did different this time was I moved it from a really hot greenhouse to more like natural indoor um, environment, basically just like in your own house, like in a not a sunroom, but like just in a room with light that's not extremely hot, maybe high 60s, like 68 degrees. So also keep it uh, in some natural light or with some grow lights. This was what I had available to me, and it seemed to work really well. Not to give anything away yet too much, but yeah. So the way I set this up was also very strategic. But you could also set this up with similar things that you have in your own home. So I just took this tray. You can also use like a baking tray, or just some type of thing with high walls on the sides. Um, so I kept the leca or the Pro Mix in the mason jar. Put those put the stem cuttings into the Pro Mix, and then I had a really great idea to keep the clay material in, to take them out of the mason jars and put them into just like a regular pot, like a with holes at the bottom, and let that sit in water. So at the bottom of this black tray, I put a bunch of water, and you'll see at the end how I ended up setting it up. But I wanted to make sure that there was high humidity in this area, as well as enough light. So to do that, I took a plastic bag and covered it over everything in the end. So yeah, to make sure that all of the clay material had enough water in it, um, taking up enough water, I put it in just a regular like plastic planning pot thing, and just to make sure that there was never any lack of water, because I think that was my main problem to begin with. And so I'm just going to continue on with this process. Again, another repetitive process, but making sure that each stem cutting has um, at least one node in the media. Also, obviously, I took new cuttings from this plant, so that's also something to keep in mind when propagating this plant, is that, you know, if you fail the first time, you're going to have to take some more cuttings again. Um, so, yeah, I'm just removing the leca from its mason jar now, putting it in a new plastic pot with holes at the bottom of it, putting my cuttings in it, wanting to make sure you have the nodes in, all that fun jazz. And then for the water part, I just again kept it in the mason jar just for stability. I guess you could also just like do the same thing and keep it in a plastic cup with holes at the bottom, but I just figured this would be easy enough to just keep it in a cup of water where it can be contained rather than just like free floating, because I don't think the the free floating aspect of it would work so well. um, but yeah, I just put it in a smaller mason jar just because the other mason jar was way too tall. So makes my life easier, at least in the moment. And then I just placed that in the back where there is some room, add some extra water to the bottom of the tray. And then I put the bag over the whole contraption. And to do this, I just put this, it was like PVC pipes, super easy, something that just to make sure that it doesn't weigh down on the bottom of on top of the plants. So just any structure that you can think of. PVC pipes are pretty cheap that you can just also grab at your local hardware store or something. But really anything you could use, like an old milk crate or something that you have laying around. And then, yeah, so you can see at the bottom of the bottom of the tray you have water. All the plants are happy. And we're going to cover it up with this plastic bag. And again, covering up with the plastic bag just helps keep that high humidity content. Almost like you're making your own little tiny greenhouse effect. Just take away the really, really hot part in our first try. Because, yeah, that was obviously not a good outcome. And we'll visit this in a week, and we'll see what happens.